giving us the full story of sars, how sars started in Nigeria, how the sars started and how it ended in Nigeria. So God bless you all. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe, follow me, and on the notification button. 2003, Nigeria was facing a lot of challenges. At that time, people started complaining about Nigerians, that Nigeria, things are expensive, things are very high, cost of living. Everybody was just suffering like that. So 2015, before 2015 came, a man was going to be called President Jonathan. Jonathan was the president then in Nigeria. So when President Jonathan started ruling Nigeria, so people was like, at that time, rice was about 25,000 naira a bag. To buy a bag of rice was 25,000 naira. People was complaining that the economy, everything is out, that everything is just going on, that we should look for other alternative. So people started complaining. Everybody was crying, the school fees, everybody was just crying that we need a change in the country. So when you go around the north, especially the north then, everybody was complaining that Goodluck regime is very hard, that we should try and make sure that he leaves power and put somebody that is competent, that has the capacity to rule the country. Then at that time, election was approaching. The presidential election was approaching, so people started complaining, people started fighting. So at that time, there was a powerful party ruling, the PDP and the APC. At that time, President Goodluck Jonathan was in PDP. He was ruling the country then in PDP. So when the other party saw that the economy was bad, and they tried to see for how they can drive, how they can push away Goodluck, how they can bring in another party that will balance the economy. So that was how all the little party, AAC, AYC, MPC came together to form a coalition. So they came together, so they now declared the party to be called APC. So when the party came APC, that was 2015. So election was approaching then. Don't forget, at that time, people was complaining that the economy, everything was so bad, that the cost of living, transportation is increased, everything was so high then. Then when they formed this coalition, at that time, Oshomole was the head leader who suggested that they should come up with this idea, because they have tried a lot of time to take PDP away from that seat. They could not, because in the time of President Yaradua was the one. He died on the seat and Goodluck took over. Then there was PDP was the one ruling Nigeria. At that time, don't forget, bag of rice was 25,000 naira. So when they formed this coalition, then the election came. So APC was now looking for who they would bring up that will stand up for them, that will help them to balance Nigeria economy, that will help them to make sure that Nigeria economy is being good, is being settled for everybody. So they now suggested a man called Buhari. At that time, Buhari has ruled before in the military regime. That was the year 1983. He ruled in 1983, he ruled in 1983, in 1985. He ruled then, and when Buhari ruled well. A lot of people love him at that time. They say, Buhari, when he was ruling, there was no corruption. He fight corruption. He make sure that Nigeria should be a good place at that time. That was a military regime in 1983. So all of them suggested that they should bring in Buhari to the seat, that Buhari will balance the economy, because at that time, don't forget, Nigeria was already complaining about the president that was ruling at that time. That is President Goodluck Jonathan, Jonathan. And before President Jonathan came on power, he was the vice president of Nigeria. At that time, Yaradua was the one ruling. But when Yaradua died on the seat, automatically he came into power to rule, to take the affair, because the head of state is no more. So he, as the vice president, has to come up. That was how he went for another election. He won. There was in the seat there. So when everybody suggested Buhari, at that time election was approaching. Don't forget, cost of living was high. So everybody, because the south, the east, the north, everybody was complaining bitterly at that time that things is too expensive. Everybody A lot of people were complaining. A lot of youth were complaining. Everybody was complaining that no road, nothing, no infrastructure, nothing, no plans for the people. So that was how everybody suggested Buhari. So they did the primary, APC did the primary, so Buhari won. When Buhari won the primary, then President Jonathan also came. I know that the presidential candidate, I don't think there was not a primary for him, so he came out. When he came out then, so the election started. The North then, everybody was saying Buhari. That was when that word came out, say Baba, say Baba. Everybody was now using this word, say Baba. Anywhere you go around the country that I say Baba, say Buhari, say Baba, say Buhari. Everybody, including the Edos, the Deltas, the Shekiris, Hausas, the Igbos, everybody was fighting to make sure that Buhari got the seat. In 2015, that same year when the election took place, Buhari won. And before Buhari won, when the election was going up, when they started counting it, President Jonathan went to Buhari and congratulated Buhari. That was how Buhari came into power. When Buhari came into power, he promised a lot of things that is going to make sure that Nigerian economy is being balanced. Is going to make sure that foreign investors come into the country. Is going to make sure that everybody lives fine. It's going to make sure that he bring everybody, the security system, everything is being balanced. So he promised. That was how Buhari started rolling. When Buhari started rolling, and the first year he started rolling, before you knew, bag of rice was 25,000 naira at that time. The thing moves from 25,000 naira to 35,000. So people were still living. Before you know, economy started changing. When you see boys going to the market to go and buy something, you see policemen stopping them, harassing them, collecting their phones to check and those kind of stuff. Before you know, rice just suddenly just entered 60,000 naira. Don't forget, at the time of President Jonathan, the amount of rice then was 25,000 naira. Buhari entered not less than 2 years, the thing shifted to 60,000 naira. Everybody was like still looking, because he made a lot of promise that he's going to balance the economy, that is going to make sure that everything is settled, that is going to make sure that everything balanced. He came in a lot of broadcasts, a lot of interview to make sure that everybody understand his intention in the country. And don't forget then, when President Jonathan was in power, he removed subsidy from fuel. That was how everybody was complaining. At that time, fuel, when you want to buy fuel in President Jonathan time, it was 19 naira a liter. Liter of fuel then in President Jonathan was 19 naira. 19 naira was 75 naira. Later it moved to 19 naira. When President Jonathan removed the fuel subsidy, that was when he now took it to 150 in President Jonathan time. 150. Then people were complaining that 150 is too expensive. So President Jonathan, as a civilian government, so he has to reduce it back to 95 naira. So it was 95 naira when Goodluck Jonathan left the power for Buhari. So when Buhari entered, rice moved to 60,000 naira. Before you knew, fuel moves from that 95 naira, it moves to 100 naira. Before you know, it moves to 150. Before you know, it moves to 200. Before you know, people started buying fuel 500 naira. Then everybody started complaining, what kind of thing was going on? Why is Buhari like this? Everybody, then Goodluck is not yet in power. Goodluck has already left because Goodluck lost the election because of the people were complaining that Goodluck was not competent to rule Nigeria then. So when people started complaining, before you know, police started embarrassing boys, going for houses to houses, breaking doors, busting people's fence, bringing out boys, checking their phone and all that, and everybody started complaining. And when they catch you on the highway, when you complain, they will just open fire on you. There was a lot of death record. There was a lot of cases record where policemen will just shoot people unknowingly, where policemen will just make hold of you when you try to ask them what's going on. Before you know, they will just open fire on the person. So a lot of influencers in Nigeria, social media the government. Don't forget that Nigeria voted for Buhari so that economy will be stable, so that our security system, everything will be stable. But when Buhari came into power, fuel was 95 naira when Goodluck was there, President Goodluck Jonathan was there. Now it moved to 500 naira. Don't forget, bag of rice was 25,000 naira. Now it moved to 60,000 naira. Before you know, people started complaining. A lot of people started crying, complaining that this is not the promise that Buhari told them in 2015. So in the year 2020, October 8th, 2020, October 8th, then the protests started approaching. At that time, the protest has not kicked off. A lot of people started doing a lot of things. Police, there was a name called SARS. That was SARS at that time. This individual was also part of the police. They called them SARS. So these people, I don't know, they were given an authorized power to fire, to open fire. When you just, they will stop boys at that time. When you talk to them, sir, I'm not, what's going on? Why are you searching me? They will just open fire. They kill a lot of people in North, in Benin, and Calabar, Lagos, a lot of places in Nigeria. So the youth started complaining. Everybody started complaining. People started crying. The thing started moving around. A lot of influencers, social media influencers, started using it, taking the reports, moving it. It was not going across the country. Don't forget, October 8th, 2020, then the protest fully started. When the protest started, it started in Lagos. And before you know, a lot of some youth came out to do a protest. Before you know, the politicians didn't expect it at that time. Before you know, the police started running, boys started protesting, destroying things. Everywhere was so rowdy in Nigeria then. That was in October 8, 2020. Then everybody started crying. Before you know, in Edo State at that time, a lot of youth moved to various police stations to burn down the police station. Even in Lagos, even in Calabar North, even in East, a lot of cases like that record that history has stated. Before you know, the protest started. The protest was not the protest that just started for like maybe start today and end tomorrow. No, don't forget, at that time the price of fuel was now in 500 naira. In the time of President Goodluck Jonathan was in 95 naira. Don't forget, bag of rice now is now in 60,000 naira, where President Goodluck Jonathan left it at 25,000 naira. People started protesting. Before you know, the protests became massive. It now went across the country. Even Nigerians in Europe, UK, America, some part of Asia continent started protesting end SARS, because a lot of people have lost their life in the killing of those policemen and others. So when the thing started spreading, at that time, don't forget, at that time, the president governor of Edo State was Godwin Obaseki. But that time, Obaseki was not around that time. He traveled to abroad, I think, to do some meeting and all that. But the vice governor at that time was Philip Shaibu. So Philip Shaibu was now the active governor of Edo State. So when the protest started rolling and all that, you see a lot of youth bringing that money. You see them cooking in the highway, playing ball in the streets, doing a lot of things in the streets. They burned a lot of government cars, went to police station, released a lot of people. So don't forget, at that year, October 8, 2020, then the Edo youth, that is the Edo State, lead the protest to White House. That is the coronation center. For that is where they call a form of Oko. They lead the protest there and open it. But a lot of people out. And that same day, they lead the protest to Oko, what they call J.
Clips from
the prison and break J. A lot of people came out, prisoners, people who was babies. Everybody came out that day. Everybody at that time, the police have stopped. Everybody who has the uniform of the police, everybody dropped their uniform and started running for their life. So Nigeria at that time was very rough. Nigeria at that time was very tough. A lot of people were running. Don't forget, at that time, President Buhari was still the president of Nigeria. So at that time, they lead the protest to the government house. At that time, when they got to the government house, they didn't see the governor.
Say prisoner! Say prisoner!
He was the governor of Edo State at that time, but at that particular time, it was not in Edo State. Philip Shaibu was the active governor, so they met Philip Shaibu. Philip Shaibu addressed the people, and everybody went on. But at that time, the protest didn't stop there, because at that time, the protest was not only in Edo State, it was across the country. The 36 states then was the one holding the protest. Before you know, the youth in Lagos went to the Oba of Lagos. They went to his palace and they broke his palace. They met some coffee where some ritualists. They met some pictures and all that in the coffee where the Oba palace is. So a lot of chaos was going on in the country. Everywhere, people were protesting, angry.
260. Since 260, what do you do? I don't do anything. I found my depot for village. They go arrest me, president. They go arrest me. They put allegation from my side. I keep us okay and I not do anything. Now they put me for security now. No court, nothing. Now I'm in the suburb. No visit.
Today you are free. I believe you. That's the way you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you.
Expecting the Buhari to come out and address the case, but Buhari didn't come out. So the president of Ghana at that time had to call Buhari and tell Buhari that this thing is going beyond our imagination, that it should address Nigeria. That was when Buhari came out one evening and addressed Nigerians about the thing that is going on, that Nigeria should come, they should stop disturbing themselves, and he said a lot of things that was not acceptable by the youth then in Nigeria. So the protests continue. Don't forget, the Oko in Edo State was being broken by those protesters. So everybody started protesting, fighting to make sure that the president brings and SARS at that time, he changed the name SARS to SWAT. At that time, SARS was the people who normally stop boys, hold them, and when you talk to them, they open fire at you. So Buhari have to, instead of it to ban them, so he now changed their name from SARS to SWAT. So when he changed their name from SARS to SWAT, so the people were still angry and they started protesting. And this protest at that time now led to a place in Lagos called Lekki Tollgate. And this Lekki Tollgate was owned by Tinubu. Tinubu was the former governor of Lagos State and now the recent president of Nigeria. But then he was not the president of Nigeria. Buhari was the president of Nigeria. So at that time, Tinubu makes a lot of money in the tollgate and all that, because he was born in Lagos and he was the former governor of Lagos then. So the protests continue. People started protesting, trying to make sure that governors, the president, the government hear their cry. So on one fateful day, October 2020, the people were there protesting, peaceful protests that day, when an unknown government came in and opened fire on these people. History recorded that day that a lot of people died that day on that Lekki. A lot of people died that they could not record, a lot of people holding the flag of Nigeria died that day in that protest ground in Lekki Tollgate. After then, people started fighting, and before you know, because of the deaths of the people there in Lagos, other states heard about it, and everybody started returning back, joining back away, because history recorded that a lot of people died there. So the thing, it brings a lot of fears to the youth there in Nigeria. That was how people started pulling back from the protest. Before you knew, Tinubu came. Tinubu started, I think, 2 years from there, when the protests take place. When a lot of people died, and everybody started withdrawing back. That was how the protest was stopped in Nigeria. So I will tell you more about it. So God bless you. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe, share this video, like the video. You watch the video on YouTube. Name the Dominic. You put /45 TV. You see me there on YouTube. God bless you.